All right, we clicked record and... Josh, I do gotta say, I think that burp accentuated the song in such a beautiful way that I
was gonna say, just don't say anything, and it's a little Easter egg for the listeners in case they noticed.
If they didn't notice, I can guarantee I see Walters right now hitting back twice or three times. To see if he can find that hidden burp Easter egg for the fans, as it were. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of the lovely hostesses, Garlic Johnson. I am joined by our other lovely hostesses, Joshua Mitchell. Joshua, say hi to the folks.
Hi, folks.
Yeah. All right, so we have, we have an email, hiddenoaksoverdose@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/hoodpod. Feel free to reach out to us on either of those places. I do want to note that I forgot until just this second that Brian did write to us. I'm going to pull that up while I speak. But we also have the segment start times down in the description below. So if you want to skip around, feel free to look for those time markers and skip around to the segments you want to listen to.
We did actually get an email. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see we got an email. We have an email and a Facebook message?
We got an email from the Alex Williams. We've made it.
Okay, Josh. Clearly, we're going to need to take a break here while I change my pants and get rid of this load that's brewing up. But I do have to say thank you to Levi Oki before we get too far. He is in charge of drawing things, and he gave us that beautiful illustration that everyone's currently looking at on their mobile
Do you think he drew his own
device.
art degree?
Did he draw his own art degree? Probably. You have an art degree. Did you draw yours?
No, I'm not allowed to handle crayons.
Not after last time?
Not after last time. But yeah, so Alex's message, now that we're back on track.
Yeah.
Hello, long-time listener, first-time emailer. Walters has his own recording studio now. Just thought I'd correct you. Sincerely, Alex of the Funny Pod. That's all he said. But he just wanted to correct us. So I'm happy we have fans out there fact-checking. Checking.
For what it's worth, that is correct. I do know that Walters has set up his own studio. So, good for him.
Should we Hiroshima it?
I don't know. I'm more of a Nagasaki kind of guy.
All right.
But so anyways, back to the more important thing, Brian Knup's message, right? He said, just listen to week 2. You guys are way better than last year. That's it. That's all it said. Those 2 sentences.
Well, hang on. Those 2 sentences in Alex's 3 broken sentences, that is 5 sentences more than last year.
That's, if you're not counting Eric's or Walter's
contributing
to Facebook, then that's Brian did. I will note that Brian was the first person to ever email us.
That's true, because he said you swear too much.
He mentioned that at the very first thing last year. Didn't get him back to message us since, but we got him back now. I'm saying not in between, but
all right.
How you doing today, Josh?
Good. Covered in man glitter, sawdust, for those of you who aren't aware. How are you, Gar? I feel like this segment's running on a little bit, so we should probably hasten, because this schedule is at least 12 pages long. Give or take 12.
2 pages?
Well, numbers.
Well, Josh, I'm doing good. I'm really glad you asked, but we have an important subject to cover here before we get into the hot takes. And
I figured we were going to spend 98% of the podcast on this next subject, and then just 2% of the rest.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about the same thing then?
The zeros.
The 0. So, Josh, we've discussed this a few times on the pod. We have won the podcast war, right? Another podcast entered the chat with I did give them credit on a very funny segment. They have, again, potentially the funniest segment in all of podcast history. I don't think you haven't listened to Alex's pod, have you?
No.
And you didn't listen to Walter's first episode either, did you?
Never.
Right. So you're a man that can't be bothered. So let me just vouch for them and saying they're doing all right. I mean, most of the time, Josh, I think you and I would confidently call ourselves incompetent when it comes to podcasting, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
But
I need an adult to get me ready in the morning.
I also feel very confident saying that we are by far and large the greatest podcast to ever exist.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
I check the top 100 on I Love Radio all the time.
And we're number one?
No, we are unranked, but that's just because everybody else needs to have a fair shot.
Right. We are literally off the charts.
The charts.
Some would say. So, Josh, I know you're probably sick of the segment already, but there's one more thing I want to address with you. So when two people divorce, what do you think is a fair thing to do with their kids? Like, what do you do with the kids in a divorce?
Well, I'd treat them like a wishbone. Grab one arm and pull, and whoever gets the most wins.
That is a fair thing to do. So I was listening. So Alex came out with another podcast. I listened to it just today on the way here.
Hang on. Let's be real here. Alex has the original podcast. Walters came out with a new one.
Well, so that's what I wanted to discuss with you. So you do think that even though Walters had quote unquote retired and Walters was continuing on, even though he rebranded, Alex still contains all the intellectual property of the Victorious Pod?
I believe since it was, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure I will get corrected, but I believe it was Alex's idea to start the podcast.
I don't know.
It might have been a joint thing, but it was always done in Alex's basement on his counter, with crappy sound quality.
Unless Pat was there.
Of course. Walters just kind of mixed things and got into it. So I would say that Alex can take the Victoria's Secret podcast on.
Okay. Because, to stir up drama amongst the other podcast war participants, I heard Alex play the business segment at the beginning of his most recent pod, and I thought that was a shot fired, considering Walters was literally the one who put that business segment together. So, I was curious on how you felt about that.
Well, you know what they say, Albert Einstein stole all his ideas. Maybe it wasn't Albert Einstein, but some famous guy did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Booming! Show me the fire!
And that's all we have to say about that. All right, Josh, you want to move on?
Absolutely. Hot takes.
Stop talking about peasants. Hot takes. Segment start time is definitely not going to be 7:45.
Well, it's only 6:13 p.m., but...
Are you going to do that joke literally every week forever?
Every week forever.
Okay. So last week the scripts were flipped. I did not have a hot take written into the show notes, and Josh did. So this week I'm going to go first, and I don't know what Josh has got, but me, after I caught glimpses of that Thursday night game, it was Carolina, and I don't even remember who the fuck they played. Doesn't matter.
Tampa Bay.
Sure. Cam Newton looked terrible, and not just terrible, but terrible, like a Charles Barkley TRBL, terrible. So. With that in mind, he does not look like a healthy man. He doesn't look like a man who enjoys himself. I got to see him pulling a luck and retiring soon. That's my hot take. Cam Newton retires definitely by season end, if not within the next couple weeks.
That is a hot, spicy take. Mine is taking your take because I actually, while it might suck, he's taken a lot of shots. He definitely looked off. He just had his shoulder surgery, so who knows what's going on, if he's still recovering. I said that I agreed with your hot take, but I'm going to step it up maybe 5 steps, and I'm going to say he's going to retire while wearing normal clothing.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen Cam Newton's wardrobe, but it literally looks like he walks into a thrift shop, throws like darts at random things, and then puts it on. Not a big surprise. I don't know why you put that button.
So what would you define as normal then? So just so we understand the threshold of your hot take, what is normal and what is not normal?
Like, honestly, Wranglers and a white t-shirt.
Would a suit be normal?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
But the grandma jacket and the scarf that he wears around his head, no. And it's not hijab. I know that. It's literally his grandma's scarf. Stolen off of her dead body. Probably dug it up the night before and put it on.
This got dark really
Yeah, it
quick.
did.
Okay, those were hot takes. All right, Josh, NFL news. What do you got at 10:05?
Well, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it this week because I saw that you started it off by putting OOFTA for number of injuries.
Well, yeah, that's correct.
The other things that my headphones weren't even in all the way. The other thing, besides the injury to Breeze, Big Ben, Hall of Famer Trevor Siemian, and Kirk Cousins' contract negotiations in 2021, the other big injury or news of this week is probably going to be Eli getting benched for Daniel Jones.
That's a big one. That's it happened once, but with Geno Smith. So his consecutive game streak ended, but I mean, Eli's just not getting it done. I totally understand the move. I love Eli. I was hoping he could get one more bowl in him, but looks like the road's over unless he... Do you think Eli signs anywhere else?
No, they asked if he'd waive his no-trade clause, and he said no. So I would think that he wants to retire a Giant. And, I mean, he's definitely he's on that down slope. He's double black diamond right now.
I mean, even with 2 Super Bowl victories, I don't know that he was ever near a peak.
True.
But
well, you got to breathe through your nose to hit a peak, I think. So
maybe as a Manning, he just started super uphill, and so he was always falling with style. But sometimes he would plateau for a bit, so he'd look like he's doing good, but then just continue downwards.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's all I got for news. Do you have anything else?
No, I mean, no, not currently. There's a bunch of people not practicing, and we've already talked about a bunch of injuries, but we won't know until Sunday. So,
right.
All right, Josh. Week 2 Homer results, and I lost, aka the Vikings lost. So I'm going to take the opportunity to go first, because
team has a bunch of losers in Minnesota.
That's exactly right. So originally all I did was copy and paste our show agenda, and originally the only bullet point I put in under the Vikings game was we actually took the week off, just like Germany in 1939 through 1944 or whatever. The whole country was on vacation, everyone was gone, there was nothing to see, nothing to do. That's how I wish the Vikings were last week, but obviously we did not get it done. We went down 21-0 in the first quarter.
No. They didn't score the 21 until 1 minute into the second quarter.
Go tuck yourself in, Josh. Okay, so we went down 21-0 in the first 16 minutes of the game. Is that better for you?
Much better.
Cotton?
I just don't want to get an email correcting everything.
What? Okay. Alex Williams has definitely not listened this far into the show.
Oh, you're right.
Although I didn't mention this earlier. He did feature like a 5-minute segment of you and I, like of our podcast on his podcast. If you want any more proof that we've won the podcast war, he's putting us into his podcast just to make his podcast better.
Damn.
Just saying. I mean, you wouldn't know that because you're not a listener. But anyways, Alex Williams won't know this because he hasn't listened this far anyways. Anyways, back to the Vikings. So, some notes you wrote. Dalvin Cook still look good. I agree. If that man stays healthy, RB1. I'm still saying it. Diggs was all but absent after memeing his shoes like a goober. I mean, he wasn't all but absent. He caught a touchdown. Caught 2 touchdowns, depending on who you ask. And then Thielen got a $500 scholarship. Thank you, Josh. Those very beneficial notes. So, I mean, I wrote down a couple notes. I wanted to keep them out of the sheet just so I couldn't get Josh's commentary all over him. But how fitting we lose due to questionable calls. Last year, a lot of people would argue we tied because of that roughing the passer from Clay Matthews on Kirk Cousins, which I understand. So, I mean, how fitting. I don't know. Some of the calls you can argue with, that touchdown reversal, I will personally never understand. I think I texted as it happened that I was sick to my stomach, and I still don't fully get it, but NFL is going to do what the NFL is going to do. Everyone also likes to turn on Kirk Cousins at this point in time, and you've definitely poked plenty of jokes already, which, go ahead. Kirk Cousins was never...
The Vikings are terrible.
Kirk Cousins was never going to be elite. I believe that Kirk Cousins, we have seen the ceiling of Kirk Cousins in the NFL already. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. We know what he is, and we know what he isn't. And, all other things constant, if Kirk Cousins plays better, we win that game. However... Kirk Cousins constant and other things are better on the Vikings side of the ball, like not going down 21-0 in the first 16 minutes of the game. we could also win that game. Kirk Cousins plays worse, and we improve in other sides of the ball. We could still win that game. So to put all the blame onto one player, I'm just sick of it. Kirk Cousins is not a god. He never will be. He's not the most expensive quarterback in the league. We paid him plenty of money, but he's not the sole reason we're losing football games, even though that interception was terrible. I don't know. I don't have any other thoughts other than that OPI call. I'm not going to say we lost because of that one call that reversed a touchdown, because certainly the game would have been different. The Packers would have been a little more aggressive. Maybe they scored more points. I don't know. But I pumped the brakes after week 1, but now I guess I have to hit the gas after week 2 to say that it's not doom and gloom. The season's not over, but it was not a good showing, certainly for the hometown team. Go.
Oh. Yeah, no, I mean, we were exchanging text messages throughout that game.
Mm-hmm. While T was drinking bleach, I believe.
Yeah, well, it was Sunday. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree that I honestly didn't expect that to get overturned. And I will agree with you that even now it's a questionable call. And even after the game, when I saw people with blue check marks from referee, official, Gene Steratore or whatever, and different people like that texting that this is textbook offensive pass interference, I still didn't believe it. Sure. And so I'm not upset at the call like a Vikings fan might be, but I am upset that it is it's happening all over. Questionable calls. Bradley Chubb against the Bears, which we'll talk about in a bit. Even Myles Garrett on Monday night, he had a play where he hit the quarterback as the ball was thrown, and they said he landed full body weight, but you could see his arm bracing the impact. That was a call on a third down. That would have been a fourth, I believe. So it's kind of, the refs are taking the game out of a lot of it. I know we exchanged texts about the one play on the sideline where the ref said the player his mic cut out. And I know I'd seen some comments on it where it was a special teams play on the punt return, and the guy just obliterated the returner on the sideline. And people he threw a flag because it looked like he was out of bounds, but the guy was in the thing. He said he was tiptoeing the sideline, so he's still trying to get yards, which it's a legal hit. And even that, I remember saying that guy's an idiot. And sure. So I don't know. It was just a weird game. So back to Packers game, since they didn't take the week off, they just took 3 quarters off, or at least the offense did. The offense came out swinging, and they stalled after adjustments were made on defense, which you kind of expect in most games unless you're playing the Dolphins. Jones had a big game. A lot of people said it was his coming out game because he had 150 total yards, 120 rushing, 30 some receiving. Third down conversions, while we did better than Minnesota, they were still only 33%, which is yikes. And then the defense definitely held their own. They're currently second in the NFL for total points allowed, which after 2 weeks is guaranteed top 2 for the rest of the season.
Guaranteed.
But with that being said, gap plays or the big plays that are resulting 40 or more yards, something like that, those need to be reduced or eliminated. Even Jair Alexander said that if you get rid of those plays, that's a whole different game. Same with every game, because if you give up 1 to 2 gap plays in a game, it's gonna it could make or break the entire thing. All 16 points were the result of plays totaling 45 yards or more, which was a total of 181 yards. The remaining plays for Minnesota only totaled 240. So you guys got nearly half of your yards on 3 plays alone, which, it happens. And I'm not taking it away from the team. I'm just saying that if a defense were to be able to pull back and stop those plays, then, it would be a better defense. A defense I'd be more comfortable calling super elite instead of just elite.
Soup's elite safety.
But yeah, so any other games in week 2?
Well, that's a great question, Josh, and I have to write down another segment start time here. We're going to do it the old 19.
Oh, hang on. While you're doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and say that last segment, specifically for the Minnesota side, was brought to you by Finnegan's Cluster Truck.
Cluster Truck?
Because that's exactly how they played.
Oof. All right. Other week 2 watchable moments. That Chicago-Denver game, I am still... That's exactly what our notes say. Is just I could probably look back and get proven wrong if I were to put research into it, but that's not my game. I'm more of a truth in this kind of guy. I was certainly disappointed that more like research, analysis, review, whatever, was not put into the very last second of the game. So obviously the receiver went down with 1 second left on the clock. For anyone who doesn't know, the Bears were trying to get into field goal range. Trubisky threw it right over the middle. Receiver went down with 1 second left, and then I've never seen a video or a picture-in-picture with the game clock and when Trubisky or whoever on the sideline would have been calling a touchdown or timeout.
Apparently, they said that they want to call, like you can say ahead of time to the refs in those situations, we're calling timeout the second he goes down. And so they do that, and so everybody was running down the sideline. I do agree with you. That was very questionable, and you'd think that they'd spend more time doing that side-by-side like they would everything else. They spent more time looking at that offensive pass interference ? In the Minnesota Green Bay game than they did something that decided the entire game, essentially in Denver. And that was after that Bradley Chubb questionable call.
Right.
So I'm just curious, is Chicago the new NFL favorite?
The fix is in? You're already calling it?
The fix is in. They're trying to make a Disney story out of Mitch Trubisky and his 33% completion percent.
He is bad. I don't know what else to say.
Si, senor.
So that was an interesting finish. Exciting game, though. The Sunday night game, Atlanta-Philly, I put that in. I didn't know what else to say other than the game was all right. I enjoyed watching it. As a football fan, I just enjoyed the game. It was unfortunate that literally every Philadelphia Eagle got hurt that game, but it happens.
Right.
I put down Cleveland Jets because I watched that game last night, and I don't know. Browns look sloppy. Jets are on their QB3. Le'Veon Bell almost started taking snaps at QB if the last guy got hurt, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, Luke Falk, I believe is his name.
That is correct.
He was on the practice squad, I believe, last week, and now he is the starter. So, yikes.
Eli Manning, a New York team, needs a quarterback.
Yeah, he could just switch locker rooms.
There you go.
Yeah, no, the Browns, you said they look sloppy. I would say that I didn't watch that game, but from what I had seen and heard, they looked undisciplined.
I'd say that's fair.
And so, but they were playing the Jets, who have a solid defense. The Jets have a decent team.
Definitely not terrible by any means.
Right. And so I would say that, yeah, sloppy, undisciplined. I don't want to restart my computer now. And so, yeah, just watching it. And so let's move on. The next game I have was Pats Dolphins. Ha. That was funny.
That was brutal.
That wasn't a game.
The only other thing I can note is the Chargers lost. I still have not seen a second of that game other than Phillip Rivers running for like 15 yards, which is hilarious because he's
probably still hooked up to the oxygen tank.
Right. But I don't know how they lost. I don't know anything about that game, but that makes me sad that the Bolts lost to the Lions. So.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody saw that coming. Week 3 preview brought to you by
Strawberry Arnold Palmer.
You got to get that timing down because I did my radio voice and everything.
I wasn't ready. I didn't know you were going to amp me up like that. I thought I was going to amp myself up.
And that was your attempt at amping yourself up?
No, Josh.
All right, who do the Vikings play? I'm disgusted by you.
Vikings play the Raiders. Raiders are coming to town. They are a blustering wind. I don't know, other stuff. Who else is looking at it? Sorry, I'm distracted. Well, Aaron is currently also looking at our Google sheet. Go for it, Aaron. Sorry, I was distracted by someone else. Anyways, Vikings are playing the Raiders in the bank. The only note I wrote down was simple. We better win. If you want to use the old Raiders motto, just win, baby. This is a game we should win. You know, Josh, you will be the first person to know. I like the Raiders. I like John Gruden. I hope for their success. I want to see them succeed. All things said, though, on paper, we are the better team all around. I think we have better coaching and better players. Not to say we couldn't lose. We certainly could, but this is a game the Vikings should win, and we better win. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of uproar in Minnesota, I think.
Better coaching. John Gruden has a Super Bowl, son.
So does Mike Zimmer.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Shh.
Okay, well, not as a head coach if you want to get all technical with it.
There we go.
Mike Zimmer has the Super Bowl rings.
Well, no, you have to vacate them when you move to Minnesota.
Is that how it works?
And they're not allowed in this state. Yeah, they're not allowed in this state. No, I think your points are very valid. Minnesota should win this game. I wouldn't say it's as much of a trap game as last year against the Bills, because the Bills last year at this time, I think the Vikings were 16 or 17. They were double-digit favorites, whereas in this one, I think they're only a touchdown favorite, which is still a large margin in the NFL. I put some things to watch. Cook, the run game, 40 carries for Cook, 1 pass for Cousins, which likely ends in an interception.
Obviously.
No, I'm just kidding. But they're going to feed Cook the ball. And I said if, and it's a huge if, the Raiders stop Cook, it could be a close game if they make Cousins play quarterback.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
So those were my 2 things to watch in that game. Green Bay at home against the Broncos. 0-2 Broncos versus 2-0 Green Bay. Things to watch: the O-line versus Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. They're supposed to be dominant pass rushers, but neither of them have a sack. And in the 40-plus plays that they've each played, I think one has 3 pressures, one has 2 QB pressures. So they're either just not trying or they're playing some elite O-lines.
And they played the Bears last week.
Yeah. And so I saw something today, like Von Miller and Bradley Chubb have 40-plus plays with only 2 and 3 pressures. Rashawn Gary for the Packers, the rookie, he has 14 plays and 3 pressures. So it's like, ugh, yikes. But that being said, they're still pretty dominant. Aaron Jones and Rodgers need to continue to improve with this new system. I think that they took the foot off the gas after going up 21 rip, and then they just never could find that pedal again. And then the defense against a less potent offense than Chicago. Just kidding. Minnesota. Because Minnesota's offense is a lot better than Chicago. So let's see how they do. See if they ease up and just kind of play to the talent level surrounding them, or if they kind of keep their throat on the necks of the opponents.
Yeah, we will see. I'm excited for the game. I did... never mind, we'll just get into it in a second. Other notable games for week 3. I wrote down Baltimore KC just because I'm interested to see kind of how that game plays out. Baltimore, a defensive team who has been airing out crazy this year. KC, offensive powerhouse with an all right defense. I also wrote down Atlanta Indy, again for the same reason of it's only week 3 in the NFL. Both these teams, you don't really know what you have. And so I did call for Indy to make the playoffs this year. That was my hot take from last week, but it's certainly not a sure thing. So it's just a game I'm excited to see kind of what each team's got and kind of who shows up to play, and that'll set the pace, I think, for later in the season. And then I love the Bolts. So we got Houston going up against the Chargers. Chargers just lost to the Detroit Lions, and Houston barely squeaked a win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So both teams you think were locked for the playoffs struggled in week 2. We'll see what happens.
I agree. No, the Baltimore-Kansas City game I'm really looking forward to. I also kind of want to watch. I enjoy the locks upsets, which is a nice little segue into our next segment, but we're not quite there. Pump the brakes.
Whoa.
I'd like watching the teams that we pick in there just to see how they go. So I'm excited for Arizona and Carolina. See if Cam Newton's going to retire mid-game.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
And then just Kyler Murray, who made strides from week 1 to week 2. See if he keeps making those strides. And then, it's football. So, yeah, just football.
Just win, baby. All right, so we're going to transition here into the locks and upsets then. We're going to write down the segment start time as 28:55. Josh, I've still been very surprised by the success we've had so far in the locks and upsets game we're putting on here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perfect teams still. I know it's only been 2 weeks, so that's only 4 picks, but 5 perfect teams out of possible 14. Everyone else has 4 points except for Eric's, who is sitting down at the bottom with a measly 2, has only gotten his 2 lock picks right so far. Last week a big thing that upset a lot of people was the Minnesota Green Bay game. We are homers here. A lot of people picked Minnesota to upset Green Bay, 4 people in fact, and that did not happen, so they lost points there. Another popular one was Cincinnati over San Fran. did not happen. And then Eric's picked New Orleans to upset the Rams, which might have been possible, but not after Breeze going down. So that's how week 2 worked out. I'll just give credit to T, Jalen, myself, Jordan, and Josh, all 5 undefeated teams currently, or perfect teams in the locks and upsets board. This week so far we've got Josh with Philly over Detroit and then Arizona over Carolina. I've got Green Bay over Denver as my lock. I like that. And for me that's a win-win because either I get points in the lock and upset board or the Packers lose. So what do you know? And then I also picked Arizona over Carolina for the same reason of Cam Newton could retire. Josh, did you not write the other teams and the ones your wives picked or what?
She didn't send them to me. I'm typing them in as we speak.
No, you're good. Okay. So Eric's has Dallas over Miami as his lock. Wow, what a softball there. And then Detroit over Philly as his upset. That's certainly possible. Nikita will come back to. Walters picked KC over Baltimore as his lock. We will see. But then that motherfucker picked Houston to upset the Chargers. How dare he? Aaron picked Philly over Detroit, and then Atlanta over Indy as the upset. Jordan picked Minnesota over Oakland as his lock, and then again Atlanta over Indy, the same as Aaron. And then finally, all the way at the bottom of the list there, we have Mr. Brian Keenup, Mr. Skybusters himself. He's got New England over the Jets as his lock. Wow, another softball. But then this motherfucker also has Houston over the Bolts, and I can see that your wife also picked Houston over the Bolts as her upset pick. What the fuck? The Bolts win or lose one game, and all of a sudden everyone's giving up on them?
Well, I mean, I would just say that...
What? Sorry.
Houston, Deshaun Watson, decent offense, decent defense, at home in Los Angeles, because everybody knows the Chargers don't have a home field advantage. I've listened to those games. I've watched those games. You could hear the children screaming in the street 3 blocks away. It's so empty.
I'm thinking all they really need, though, is a little Buford T. Justice to get that right.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Just throw that in there, and then everyone will shut up.
Yeah, you're right.
Gotta work in these sounders where I can, Josh.
But yeah, so she has Houston over the Chargers as her upset and Seattle over New Orleans as her lock.
That's true. So that's what we got. We don't want to spend too much time looking at the board, but should be an exciting week, and I'm hoping, I don't know, Green Bay likely won't lose to Denver, but if they do, what a time to be alive. All right, we're moving on to Fantasy Fun Time. Was that a good enough sounder for you, Josh?
I'm crying right now.
All right, 32:35 is that segment start time. I should probably have this open and ready. So we start the Fantasy Fun Time like we used to start the Generalistic Fantasy segment with our grain of salt. So we're going to be coming at you with here some general fantasy news, some general fantasy advice, if you even want to call it that. But we got to give you a grain of salt and let you know how we perform in fantasy football. So last week I went 6-2. This week not so hot. I went 4-4 in my 4 fantasy football leagues. It's also noteworthy that I lost in my 3 most expensive leagues, which is brutal. I'm undefeated in my work league only, which that's exciting for me. Fuck you. Oh, never mind. And in the fantasy league of extraordinary gentlemen, but the work league's more fun because I get to say fuck you every day at work. But overall, I am 10-6 in my 8 leagues over 2 weeks with a winning percentage of .625.
I went 3-2 last week, winning in Victoria's Secret somehow, despite being underdog by more than, I think, 10 points or so. Bunker League, that's the family league that we're in with Nikita and I. Thanks to her genius quarterbacking skills, we not only have Lamar Jackson, who is the number 1 in that league just based on the scoring.
Whoa.
We also have Dak Prescott, who's the number 3. So
ladies,
it's not a 2 QB league, but we drafted him. I think we drafted Dak like at the end of the draft itself. So we also drafted Antonio Brown, and he's been sitting on our bench. So, I don't know, we're 2-0. I lost in both dynasty leagues because my team hates me. And then I won in the redraft league because I'm the best.
The Vikings are terrible.
Well, yeah, we know that already. Thanks, Carl.
I was unattached.
But yeah, so I'm 7-3 overall with a 70% winning, 70% win ratio.
Brag about it. Jeez.
Well,
Just kidding. Good job, buddy.
Top performers of the week. I think that as the as the weeks go on, I'm going to start doing like a leaderboard to see who's made this list the most, just for some fun and time passing at work, because we're between grants and I'm twiddling my thumbs quite a bit.
Between grants, huh, Josh?
Yeah, okay, well, is it Vikings are terrible.
Well, yeah, we know. Thanks, Carl.
That sound clip is invulnerable to everything else that stops all the other sound clips. That one will play through every time.
That's because you got to speak the truth. But for the quarterbacks, we've got Mahomes, 31.6, Jackson, that's Lamar, 30.9, and then Dak, 27.7. This is full point PPR as well. Dalvin Cook for running backs at 28.1.
Yeah, okay, well, is it Vikings are terrible.
I'm done now, but that one was well
intentional. Timed. Yep, no. And so Aaron Jones, 25, and then Raheem Mostert, 24.1.
Would Dalvin Cook have been up there twice already? I don't know if he was that high in week 1. I know Eckler, I think, was top, and then McCaffrey. I don't know if Dalvin would have snuck in at 3 or not.
I don't know, but he might have been. It's very possible because he is the number 1 running back in a lot of different formats.
Ladies.
But yeah, so Cook and Jones playing against each other, that's kind of fun, just because they played against their teams. Mostert, I put a little asterisk next to because he is unowned in our league, so fun. Wide receivers, Demarcus Robinson, who's also unowned.
Household name.
35.2. Emmanuel Sanders, 28.8, and OBJ, 28.1. Tight ends.
Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Mark Andrews, 25.2. Sorry, I put all caps, so I had to say it that loud. Kelsey, 23.7, and Vance McDonald's, 22.8.
So I don't know if this is breaking news or not, but just very recently on both our phones, we got an update that says Kyle Allen is trending toward being the Panthers starter on Sunday as Cam Newton works to recover. So, I mean, it was trending that way already, but it's looked like it's almost official that Cam Newton will not play on Sunday.
Fun.
Or do they play Thursday? Whenever they play. No, it's Jags, Tennessee. Sorry, Sunday.
All right. So, do you have anything to add to the top performers of the week?
I do not.
Sounds good. Studs and duds. Should we? You could start with the scoreboard, you cheater.
Okay, if we're starting with the scoreboard, I am up top. I got to scroll all the way to the right because this is set up awesome. Are we just doing the week 2 scoreboard or the full scoreboard?
Week 2.
Okay. So then I'm going to go back to the other sheet. So week 2, I had Hollywood Brown, and he was projected 7.9, got 16.6. That's a positive 8.7 for me. I had Big Ben as my dud, a.k.a. the kiss of death. 18.8 was his projection. Of course, he got hurt early. He only got 3 points in our full PPR passing league. I don't know why I mentioned the PPR part, but I got a total plus 24.5 in my stud-dud differential that week. Easily good enough for first place.
Yeah, I had Mark Ingram as my stud, who got hurt at some point and didn't come back until the end. He got 9.7, which was 3.7 points less than his 13.4. Jameis on Thursday night was a dud, but not by 15, 16 points. He only scored 13.2, which was 4.9 less than his 18.1. I still managed to be positive with a 1.2 difference.
Good enough for fourth place.
Oh, yeah, for this week.
Next, we got Eric's, the man who really struggled. Or no, that was Walters who really struggled in week 1. Eric's had Michael Gallup as his stud. Projected 10.3, actual 12.8. You know, a little studly in there. He got more than he was projected. That's the whole point of the game. He did pick Aaron Jones as his dud, though, thinking that Minnesota defense was going to be good enough to stop him. He was wrong. Aaron Jones was projected 14.3 and got a full 25 bomber in our league. Eric's swung to a total of negative 8.2 on the week. He was the only person negative on the week, which obviously makes him last place.
Nikita, my lovely wife, always picking those studs that are projected to be near 20 points because she's ballsy.
Because why the fuck not?
And it paid off because she actually had the highest difference for studs. Lamar Jackson projected 19.6. He put up 30.9 for positive 11.3. Her dud, Antonio Brown, was very close to being a dud, but he put up 16.1 instead of 15.3 for a negative 0.8. She came in second this week with a 10.5 differential.
Yeah, nipping on her heels was Walters. He had Devin Singletary as his stud, just barely a stud, projected 10.9, ended up getting 11.7, so did outscore his projection there. David Johnson was his dud, the double down was good enough. He was projected 17.8, but DJ only ended up getting 8.4 on the day. Overall, Walters being positive on both the stud and the dud was good enough for a 10.2 on the week, and that is good enough for third place, aka middle of the pack. So here, Josh, let's switch the order. You say mine for week 3, and then I'll say yours. Unless you're right prepared.
No, I'm ready. Garlic, your stud for this week. Peyton Barber, 11.5. I think that's a solid play. And your dud for this week is Nick Chubb, projected 17.2.
Yeah, we'll just give a little context. Mine are both matchups. Peyton Barber's playing the Giants. I like his opportunity there. And then Nick Chubb, they're playing the Rams, so I don't see, unless he's catching the ball a lot, I don't see a lot of opportunities for him.
Fair enough.
So, Josh, you have Tyler Boyd as your stud. He's currently projected 12.8. You have Cam Newton as your dud. And as we've kind of instituted this year, if that man doesn't play, you will have to switch that. But as of right now, that's an excellent dud pick. He's projected 17.5. And, if he doesn't play, obviously that's a zero bomber. But even if he does play, I see Cam in like the 10 range, unless he kind of gets some lucky dump-offs to CMC that takes him to the house.
Eric says Derrick Henry as his stud, 12.9 is his projection. I'm not sure who Tennessee plays this week, but it's fair because he's their offense. He also has Adam Thielen as the dud, projected 14.6. I would also say, just based on the last week, that's pretty fair since the passing game was non-existent. And so, yeah.
Pretty sure Tennessee plays Jacksonville on Thursday night, for what it's worth. Nikita, your lovely wife, as we just mentioned, she has Dak Prescott as the stud, projected 21.7, but they are playing Miami, so Dak has plenty of opportunity here to be quite...
That's the first quarter.
So he has plenty of opportunity to be studly. And then Michael Thomas is the dud, 17.2. I do think Michael Thomas did fine last week, even with Teddy B playing, but we don't know if that was just luck or what the case is. So we'll see how in sync they are this week. But Michael Thomas projected 17.2. We'll see if he's a dud or not.
Walters, with the kiss of death, says Chris Godwin's going to be his stud. 13.5 projection. I actually think that's a good pick. I know... at our draft, we both kind of talked because you wanted Cooper Kupp, but I got him. And
literally one pick before.
And then you took Chris Godwin.
Right
and
after.
And those were the two guys I was actually debating on. So we would have, if you would have been before me and gotten Kupp, I would have taken Godwin. So it worked out last week, especially for you. But sidebar done. Walter's dud is Le'Veon Bell, projected 18.1. It's a high projection for somebody who is going to be that entire offense under Luke Falk. And so I can see that panning out, but I can also see it going to where he gets the ball 400 times in 1 week and gets 18.2.
Right, yeah. This was, I will, just to, sidebar again or digress again for a second. Le'Veon Bell was almost my dud pick. They're playing New England. New England loves to take away the best player on the other team, make him irrelevant. But again, to your point, Le'Veon Bell, other than Robbie Anderson, is really the only thing this team has going for it. So even if he catches, so this is a full PPR league for context. So even if Le'Veon Bell catches the ball 18 times out of the backfield, that's 18 points right there. So I didn't want to pick him for my dud for that reason, but, Walters, I feel you, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Overall scoreboard.
Scoreboard
right now. Garlic up top, 34.1. Woo! Great start to the season. I will give you it. Nikita, not necessarily nipping at your heels, but Nikita in second with 9.3. I am hovering right around 0 at 0.5. Walter sucks. He's at negative 3.2. And Eric's probably in Latvia behind a couple years, so at negative 17.6. I don't know how time zones work. I went to public school.
I don't know why that got me, but that is such like a United States like superior cliche that everyone in Canada, especially Latvia, wouldn't get. Like right now, they'd be getting just like whatever our '90s shit was, like Boys to Men and what are some other '90s things? VHS tapes.
The brand new boy band, Backstreet Boys.
Maybe they'd get like a Bop It game and like the Skip It thing we played with at Sharon's.
He's gonna post a picture of a Furby saying he just bought it, right?
I
love you, Eric.
We do love you very much. Josh, I was thinking about that. Another digression on Eric. Should I add you as the co-manager on BSB or no?
That's up to you.
Would you want to?
I mean, I'm not going to pay anything, but you could do all of the contribution. I'll just join it so I could chat.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, as long as you don't pay anything, you don't win anything. That's fine.
No, that's fine.
All right. Well, Eric, you heard it here first. Somehow we just switched teams in the Dynasty League, and
all part of the plan.
We'll be full strength yet again. Anything else you want to talk about in Fantasy Fun Time, Josh?
Oh, well, we got to do our bold predictions.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I scrolled too far. That is correct. You go first because this is kind of your baby.
Well, I don't think Fournette's going to have that good of a week. Sure. And I'm just going to go ahead and say he's not going to hit 10 points in a full PPR format.
I think that's fair. Leonard Fournette, a lot of people were dogging him and saying avoid him. So far, they have been straight correct, dead correct. Gardner Minshew is... I love that man. Like, I don't like to get caught up in the popular meme things, but I love Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew is the only...
second.
Yeah, oh my God.
With no first.
Did you know that he was offered an endorsement deal with a porn site?
I believe it. Did you see that outfit for the Week 2 game, dude?
The Week 2 game. Because if you're talking about the low-cut, like, silver shirt and the red jacket, that was from College Bowl game a couple years ago.
Oh, well, whatever, dude. That is great outfit.
No, they want him to do a exercise video where he does his stretch bands. Because if you haven't heard, he stretches in the locker room wearing nothing but a jockstrap and sunglasses.
That is correct.
And they want him to do an exercise video for a porn site.
This man is going to get sponsored. This is going to be the first man ever sponsored by the mythological product Sex Panther. And you know what they say about Sex Panther, Josh?
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. But no, Fournette's having a down season, or just nobody's feeling him. When they're mad, they take the ball out of Gardner Minshew's hand. They ran the ball 3 times on the goal line, and he got stuffed all 3 times.
Yeah, that's brutal. As far as my fantasy bold prediction, I don't really have one. So just to be fun, I'm going to say my fantasy bold prediction for the week is that Luke Falk gets injured, and so the Jets will go through another quarterback this week. I know it's not necessarily fantasy, but it kind of is. So
kind of, yeah.
I didn't have one ready, so that's what I'm going with. That's interesting to me.
All right. You texted me today about redraft week 2, right down segment time. You texted me about texting out the side bets, and I said absolutely. And then I actually got busy at work today and completely forgot. But last week's side bet winner was Robin, and it was the touchdown my pants or something like that. I don't know what the actual thing was.
You can just look. It's right here. It's look at these TDs.
Same thing. Her team scored 7. Once again, last year it worked out this way. Didn't have a tie, so I did have to try and figure out a tiebreaker that made it fair. So she had 7. Some of the closer games. Jamie beat T by 3.1, suck it T, and Garrett beat Hammer by 4.7. Willie had the biggest blowout, not like a newborn, but Willie beat Brian by 83.2, which was almost more than 2 teams' total points this week.
Yeah, and it was more than Bradley and Andrew's points for the week.
Maybe it was more than 2.
It was more than 2. Yikes. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. We were applauding Brian for having 157 last week. Well, not so much this week, buddy. I do think it's fair to go through all the results. So the ones you didn't mention there, I beat Derek 128.7 to 116.6. Jamie squeaked. Did you mention Jamie? I don't know. I'm going to say it again. Jamie squeaked it away against T with a close game there. One you texted me about over the weekend was that Robin pulled a very bold move by keeping the Juice Jr. in her lineup. And when you said that, I pulled it up, and Nikita was actually projected to lose at that point. I was like, yikes. That's if Robin wins with the Juice Jr. in her lineup.
Yeah, let's be honest. I was hearing about it. We went to bed that night, and it was about the 3rd or 4th quarter of the Philly-Atlanta game, and she was losing. And Carson Wentz just got hurt and was out. And so she basically shut her phone off, and I was sitting up for a little bit longer, and I was watching it, and I saw that he went back in, and then I forget what point it was, but it was later. She ended up going up by 0.5, and I was like, oh dear Lord, this is going to be close. And but no, she pulled it off, and she actually beat her by like 15 or something like that. I don't know.
Well, the final was 108.6 to 96, so beat her by 12.
Yep. So it was still a decent win for her.
Yeah, the only part that disappoints me about that is that Robin didn't change her lineup. I mean, the kind of you predicted that she would just be a free win, so we'll see what happens. Disappointing, certainly. Josh, you beat Jesse 134 to 86. We already talked about Willie almost doubling Brian's score, 180 to 90.7. Willie, of course, helped by the New England defense. Nate beat Bradley 130 to 72, and then Garrett with like this third lowest score of the week beats Hammer with the second lowest score of the week. So unfortunate for those two. Moving on to week 3, I reckon. What's the side bet for this week, Josh?
This week's side bet is Immaculate Reception, which is the wide receiver with the most receptions.
Whoa!
Wide receiver. So not a running back. So if Le'Veon or Christian McCaffrey do get 18 receptions, they're not a wide receiver. So
wait, are you sure they're not a wide receiver?
I'm pretty sure. I tried to put them in that one position, that WR one, and it didn't work. We did change our format. I know last year we used to do a little bit more breakdown of the previous week. This year we're changing it up a little bit to do a little bit more of a preview.
I think that's more exciting.
I did a little bit more of a table on this, and instead of and I just kind of looked through it. I did really quick kind of the higher projections and the ones that are kind of difference makers on the team. And then I put my guess as to who will win that game, because we did that last year anyways. First matchup, obviously the most important one.
Obviously.
The co-hosts going against each other. It's also very close projection right now. I'm 2-0, projected 118.5. Gar is 1-1, projected 117.6. My players of note: Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, who is the number 1 tight end right now, and Nick Chubb. Gar's Zeke, who was a ballsy pick at the time because of the holdout, but worked out for him very well. George Kittle, and then Chris Godwin. If you were to have said something about having Chris Godwin as a player of note before the season started, I probably would have laughed in your face until I died. But he has had a couple good weeks. James Winston doesn't know how to throw the ball to anybody else. And so, yeah, I said we tie.
Well, I do have, so Josh, I do appreciate this table, but to be most accurate, we can just read most of it off ESPN. The only reason I mentioned that is because we do have slightly updated projections. You're currently projected 19.4, so your projection went up. But my projection also went up. I'm now projected 118. So you're still projected to win by 1.5, but I just want to let you know they have slightly updated. And so they give, looking at the box score on ESPN, they give you kind of the matchups, and they give you the advantage in almost all the matchups, except they give me Zeke over Chubb. You're not going to like this one. They give me Kittle over Mark Andrews. And then, obviously, they give me Brett Maher over Kaimi Fairbairn. Obviously.
What?
The dude with 57 letters in his name, including the apostrophes, because everyone knows apostrophes are letters. Right, Josh? You knew that?
Yeah, I mean, I went to school.
That's a little Easter egg for our Alex William listener that isn't here anymore. But so yeah, I'm going to take myself in this match because I feel like you got to be confident. I think Jimmy G is going to outscore 17. Or no, he's not projected 17. Excuse me, he's projected 15. I think he'll outscore that. I think Peyton Barber has a good matchup against the Giants. So I'm going to take myself here. Shockingly, maybe not, but I'm going to take myself. You picked a tie. Have some balls, Josh. Jesus.
I just didn't want to hurt your feelings by saying I'm going to beat you by 40. So
thanks, buddy. All right, so next matchup, I'll lead the way. We have Jamie playing Derek. Jamie projected 18.9. Derek projected 112.2. Jamie's notable players are, of course, CMC and Mahomes. I've said it 2 weeks ago, or I said it last week, certainly. Jamie will be in the ship as long as Mahomes and Christian McCaffrey can remain gods. And she will be carried by them, plain and simple. Delaney Walker also has been a great pick thus far, despite him being 97,000 years old. Derek has Odell. That's certainly his big name. Also, Tom Brady has been great so far. Tom Brady almost went undrafted, and I know he did go undrafted in plenty of leagues. Derek has the hot pickup of John Ross, so plenty of back and forth there. Jamie currently projected to win by 6. I have to take Jamie in this matchup. The big question mark for me would be how well Cam Newton or Kyle Allen can get the ball to CMC. So maybe Derek could sneak a win there. CMC doesn't do well, but otherwise I got to take Jamie here. What about you, Josh?
I said Jamie as well. And I don't know if you're just looking at the overall scoreboard and just the top 3 projected leaders. Is that what you're looking at right now?
No, I'm looking at the box score.
Okay.
Or like the overview, whatever it's called.
All right. Well, I'm looking at this right now, and yeah, I'm just looking at it. Looks like, I mean, just overall quarterback solid. Christian McCaffrey solid. I think that she has the advantage in most positions, so I'm going Jamie.
Suck it, Derek. All right, Josh, you got the next one.
Yeah, hang on. My computer's letting it load.
Oh, no
so the next one on mine is Nikita, my lovely wife, who is 2-0 in second place versus T, who is 0-2, tied for last. T, tied for last. Just reminding you in case it cut out.
But your wife isn't tied for first?
I don't know, and it just says second. I think it goes to whoever has the most points.
It does say 13th, not 14th.
Well, he's tied for last. Okay. Nikita's projected 117.9 to T's 104.4. She has the advantage in with Dak Prescott, David Johnson, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce, and the Bills defense, if you care. T does have Austin Eckler, who is a solid pickup, especially since he did draft Melvin Gordon in the first or the second. Tyrell Williams, Jamison Crowder, and Jake Elliott. Those are his advantages. I got to go with Nikita.
Yeah, she's projected to win already by 13, not to be a projection whore, but T's team is just lackluster so far, and I don't see that changing. He's 0-2. I see T going 0-3 as well. All right, so the next matchup here, we have the Skybusters playing Girls Rule Robin. So not Josh. Brian has Deshaun Watson as the QB. He also has DeAndre Hopkins, so that's his nice little 1-2 punch there. Man has Antonio Brown, Evan Ingram, T.Y. Hilton, the flex. That's a crazy flex. This is also the guy that didn't take a running back until like the 7th. Then the Packers defense, which could be nice for him. Robin does have Todd Gurley and Derrick Henry, a couple workhorse backs there, but she still currently has Geist in her lineup. I don't know if Derek will mention that to her or not, or if she cares or not, but we did get her money, so say what you want. Robin has paid. That's not, you can't say that for Bradley, but just saying. So, there's no way I give this to anyone but Brian. He's projected by 40, and we don't even know if Robin's going to set her lineup. So, Brian, all day.
Brian. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, you're next.
All right, next matchup. You'd think it'd be a little bit closer because they both set their lineups, but it's not. It's I guess, it's about half the distance. But Bradley projected 112.1 against Jesse's 100.9. Sorry, I was on the wrong screen. We've got Jesse with Aaron Rodgers at the advantage, Julio Jones and Allen Robinson. Brad with the advantage of Leonard Fournette, Chris Carson, Sammy Watkins, and Jared Cook. And Brad with the bold move of the week of starting Kirk Cousins. I don't know. It's a little bit closer. It looks like I'm actually going to go... Oh, man. I'm going to go with Brad.
Wow, you're going with Breeze for Dreams instead of still trying, huh? I understand that pick. It hasn't been mentioned yet, but Jesse's running back core is brutal. He has Damian Williams and Mark Ingram. Both got hurt last week. Damian Williams sharing carries with LaShawn McCoy. I did sneak a peek at Jesse's bench. He's got Devin Singletary on the bench.
David Njoku's in his lineup, and he's hurt as well. So.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and give this to Jesse just because we need to have a little controversy here. We can't agree on everything. Fuck you, Brad. I'm going Jesse. His lineup, his projections will go up once he gets a real tight end and maybe puts in Singletary, so I'm going Jesse. Next matchup, we have Mac and Cheese versus Le'Veon La Vida Loca. Garrett versus Willie. Willie is projected to win 124.7 to Garrett's 106.3. Garrett has also had a disappointing team thus far. Baker has not lived up to the hype. James Conner's rough. Marlon Mack would certainly be his best player, but he's questionable. Didn't practice today. Robert Woods and Greg Olson are the only two advantages Garrett has. Willie has every other advantage with Le'Veon Bell, Russell Wilson, Dalvin Cook, Kenny Golladay, Aaron Jones, the Patriots defense against the Jets, yikes, and then Robbie Gould. I love Garrett. He's my dynasty co-manager or co-owner, but there's no way I cannot go with Willie this week.
Willie.
After putting up 180 last week, yeah, Willie all day.
Willie, yep. No, he literally has... He doesn't have a weak spot right now, it looks like. I mean, yeah, his running backs are solid. Russell Wilson, Aaron Jones. Yeah. Willie.
That man should roster bait hard.
The last matchup, we've got 0-2 Andrew Hammer with a name I still don't understand. She turned me into a Newton. Versus Nate, who's 1-1, Gold Team Rules. Like Nate's commitment to Gold Team Rules. I know he doesn't listen to this, but I'm going to give him props because Gold Team Rules has been his team name, I think, since the beginning of this league.
Well, he was O'Doyle Rules for a bit when he had Jack Doyle. But
that's right.
Same concept.
Same concept. I honestly don't think he knows how to change the second half of the team name, so that's why the last always rules. Yep. So, but he's projected to win 114.7 to Andrew's 107.9. Nate has the advantage in most positions: Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, Zach Ertz, Browns defense, and Jason Myers. Hammer does have Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, and Jarvis Landry. So Hammer's wide receivers are pretty solid. But I do like Nate's overall team more. Lamar Jackson is making a point for MVP at this point, even though it is early in the season.
It's been 2 games.
Whoa!
It's been 2 games.
People project the MVP after the Super Bowl, so I'm just going to go ahead and say Lamar Jackson's had a solid year so far. Saquon is, I guess he's decent. Joe Mixon, he was hurt last week, so he got limited snaps. Tyler Boyd is one of his number one wide receiver. I know we made fun of it for him having that as his number one, but he's balled out. He's ranked the same as Amari Cooper as far as position ranks. So I'm going to go ahead and give Nate the advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play the music because I wanted to incorporate this into the show, but also because I need a second to think. And that's louder than I thought it'd be, so we'll go ahead and tone that down just a bit. Shout out to any old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire fans out there, but I like Josh Allen. I don't think he's going to outperform Lamar Jackson by any means, but I like Josh Allen. Alvin Kamara will likely outperform Saquon Barkley only because Teddy Bridgewater will be relying on that man a lot. Chris Thompson as a starting running back, even in a full PPR league, that's brutal. But I also do not think Joe Mixon is going to live up to his projection this week against the Bills. Amari Cooper, Tyler Boyd, Brandon Cooks, I don't like. Corey Davis, I like even less. Zach Ertz and Darren Waller. I'm a big Darren Waller fan. So Zach Ertz gets more volume. I hate Jarvis Landry, and I hate Kenyon Drake. The Ravens D against KC, that should not be in your lineup, Hammer. Browns D against the Rams, all should not be in your lineup, Nate. Will Lutz versus Jason Myers, no, that's the real tough one. I gotta go Nate. I can't. Hammer, I looked for every excuse I could to pick your team, and I just couldn't. So I gotta go Nate here. Any other thoughts you have on week 3? Josh, I think last year we did. I can't remember what we did. I think we did a little something for our matchup, though. Do you want to do anything for our matchup? An extra fun side bet or something?
No,
I don't know.
No, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't feel like stealing your money this year.
Oh, is that the case? Oh, all right. Lottie freaking da. Oh, I didn't write down the segment start time for... Oh, damn it. Okay. Well, anyways.
It's 7:08 right now.
That joke is wearing thin, Josh. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and reach the outro of our show. Josh, do you have any final thoughts just on the upcoming NFL week?
Nope.
Really no thoughts at all?
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go indeed. We will see whether or not the Vikings can skol all the way home. I would like to thank you for having me, Josh. I appreciate you welcoming me into your home. I'd like to thank Nikita, Mr. Wyan Ralters, Mr. Eric Kesteris, Mr. Eric Landvik, if you still listen, Jamie Hammer, you're lovely, Levi Oki, Zach Wells, Brian Knupp, he's been emailing us. We appreciate you guys all for listening. Alex Williams, I do not think you've listened this far into the show, but if you did, say what's up and say what's up to Mr. Styles in 2000 himself. Say hi. You guys are the inferior pod, but I wish you good luck. And I'm thinking about sponsoring a segment of your guys' if you'll allow me. So we'll work that out off the air. Yeah, that's all I got. And goodbye, everybody.
Yay!
Shorter than last week, 105. Not terrible, even with the longer intro. What are you looking at, Josh?
Fantasy stuff.
Like what?
Brian dropped Michael Gallup.
Brian dropped Michael Gallup? Why?
Picked up Randall Cobb.
Oh, he's betting on the Cobb, huh? Do you think Cobb's gonna do anything? Are you just impossible to have opinions while you're looking at your phone? You're so fucking much. I don't want to say I hate your dogs, but it was kind of nice not having your dogs do random shit throughout the show.
That works.
You're just like a small response machine right now. Hey.